rocking.
Rocking usually is a precursor to rolling. But rolling is a precursor for a lot of things. Roly-poly, rolling on, rolling down the river, rolling up. I mean,
yeah, it says a lot about my stoner past that I couldn't get past the rolling a fat joint.
Roll fat, blunt, smart.
I say past. I haven't consumed any marijuana products in about 5 days.
You're a better man than I am.
Thank you. I like, Wayne, that's my goal in life, is to be a better man than you are.
It's a real Mulan moment right there.
I am coming. I'm finding myself circling back to a couple of different phases. I say circling. Are you familiar with this idea of, as we grow and ascend, that process happens in an upward spiral?
So, I'm familiar with it on a larger scale. There's this book series that I read called the Drizzt Do'Urden series by R.A. Salvatore. Very much nerd shit, very Dungeons and Dragons, but there's a lot of really deep shit that goes on in there. Can I cuss on this?
Yeah, totally.
Cool.
Please
Fuck shit, bitch. No. Anyway, so anyway, this
it is marked as explicit content. In theory, children cannot access this.
Fuck yeah. So there's this running theme in the series where the main character, before each act in the book, reads out his own personal journal. And I first came across this idea where history is cyclical, no matter what. It's always going to come back around, and the same cycles will repeat, but it always climbs up. It always gets better and better and better over time. While we still deal with atrocious shit, it's not the same atrocious shit on the same level as the past.
Right.
So if it can happen for human beings cyclically, why can't it happen personally cyclically?
Yeah, exactly. Beautiful. So I'm arriving at a point in my upward cycle where I'm moving through and resonating with a lot of what happened. I'm noticing a lot of themes from like 16 years old, which is interesting because that's like, a time when we were spending a lot of time together frequently in person.
Yeah, that was 16 years. Jeez, we're getting old.
And then, as well as like younger, like 5 to 7 or so. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I'm as I lean into that and I'm letting go of this habit of compulsive marijuana use, I'm noticing a lot of interrelating. I'm noticing that habit relate to a lot of things that were going on at 16, 17. A lot of the I'm feeling so much, too much, don't know how to handle it. I'm going to, avoid, block out. And then also I have this, for the first time, like, as solidly as she is reappearing in a while, this 5, 6, 7-year-old coming back up. I'm getting into reading again, in a way that I haven't for a while. And she is very much like, I don't smoke marijuana. She's like, I'm not a stoner.
Drugs, ew.
Yes, exactly. So I'm using that to like re-embrace the part of myself, right, that is actually like, no, I love being clear, sharp, present in those ways. Yeah.
And, I don't want any of the listeners to take me cracking jokes as, trying to shame anybody for not smoking weed or not drinking or doing whatever. No, I don't give a damn. Make your choices in life, but I'm still going to crack jokes. I don't care who you are.
Humor is good, especially being able to laugh at yourself
Yes.
And likewise, I don't want anyone to interpret my occasional comments, not just on this episode, but generally about my history of and current experiences with drug alcohol use as projecting onto anyone else what you should do. That's not what I'm doing.
Right. Like,
if you feel triggered, that's your thing.
That sounds like a whole lot of a you problem. Oh. I'm the friend that you have to warn people about. It's kind of funny you're bringing up, cycles, personal cycles. I'm kind of going through one right now that is very odd. It's not interpersonal, like, within my own mentality or emotion. But 15, 16 years ago, to kind of give you a little background into Rose's and mine relationship.
Do you mind if we do some introductions before we dive in?
Sure.
Or am I like super subverting?
No, I mean, you're good. I was just, are we still recording?
We're still recording.
Okay.
We're on. Yeah, we're live.
Yeah, no, I was just kind of gonna go back to high school, but please, by all means, this is your rodeo.
I totally want to go down that road. And
this is your circus. I'm just here for the ride. It's just nice being on the other side of it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I want to assist listeners with some context before.
Context is great.
Yeah. Welcome to the Naturally Rosie podcast. My name's Rose, or Rosie, and I am joined today by Wayne Bittick. Wayne has the great honor of being what I think of often as my oldest friend. So while I have people in the periphery of my life who I've known longer than Wayne, I don't talk to them nearly as much as I talk to Wayne, and Wayne is the only person from my high school days who I still have and maintain a relationship with, and it's been really like astounding to move through everything that has happened with both of us since high school, to move through a lot of different phases, to grow through a lot of really challenging phases, and then to like still have a relationship and a friendship with each other is so precious to me. There are so few people, basically my parents and Wayne, who have really had the proximity to me that these individuals have, as I have transformed from my adolescent years to my young adulthood. And yeah, like Wayne mentioned briefly, insinuated, he was the first producer, aside from the first 2 episodes of this podcast, which I did myself, and there wasn't really a lot of production. Wayne was the invaluable support of a producer, mixer, editor. He's credited for the intro, outro music that we use on the podcast, and he served in that role for episodes 3 through like 10, 11, 12, something like that.
It was a number of them.
Yeah. And
I still have those sessions on my computer.
Oh yeah. and I asked him while he was producing, I was like, will you come on the podcast? May I interview you? There's so much we could talk about. Wayne is ripe with very direct advice. I love your lack of filter. I find that's becoming more and more invaluable to me as a character trait in people, and not just people who talk out of their ass, right? But people who have the experience and the compassion to actually give valuable direct feedback. Mm-hmm. And he was like, I don't want to do that while I'm producing. So you go find yourself a new producer, or you learn how to do this yourself, and then I'll come on.
Yeah.
And that was actually one of my one of my main motivations for figuring out another option, other than also wanting to record more often than our schedules could really allow for.
Yeah, because I was getting busy at that time too. I was getting real busy.
I mean, your past 2 years,
crazy.
You are so inspiring to watch and to recognize and be grounded in. This is the dude I went to high school with, right? This is the guy I did theater with. I was on stage in productions with. We carpooled to school together, right?
I was actually just thinking about that the other day.
Over 500 followers on Spotify, dude.
Yeah. Right now, I think I'm sitting at 500 to 600 monthly listeners, and that's with no real promotional campaign going on. That's just natural. Mm-hmm. Which I do want to shout out somebody. Shout out to Black Widow with Bet on Black ENT. She's definitely helping me take my music career. I make music, by the way, if you haven't figured that out. She's helping me take my music career to the next level. If any aspiring artists in the St. Louis area, Atlanta, anywhere in the country, really, hit up Bet on Black ENT. Black Widow will get you right.
Cool. Wayne's always so good at it. You're so good at that networking connections thing, and not in the gimmicky way that a lot of people are, but in no, I'm a real dude. I want to connect with you.
Yeah, and a lot of that came about because M. West, who initially got me into this music, he took me down to Huntsville, Alabama before I even had a song released, and he said, "Here's what we're gonna do. Here's the mission," right? He said, "We're going to go down there. I'm going to hit the stage. I'm going to kill it. What we are all going to do is we are going to talk to every single artist that blesses that stage," because it was for a music festival. So there were a lot of artists down there. And I took his words to heart. Every single artist that touched that stage, I went up, talked to them, exchanged information. Some things came out of that. Some things haven't yet. But, hey, I built relationships. I established myself down in Huntsville, so I've taken that piece of advice to every show I perform, every show I attend, and also social media. If an aspiring artist hits me up, because there are a number of people who have sent people my way, I will listen to them. I will give them advice, and if they want to collab, if I have the ability and the time, I'm definitely down to collab. Mm-hmm. But it's a lot sometimes. But I love it. I love every minute of it.
Yeah. Is there space to circle back here to the high school days?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm here to talk shit. What's up?
Oh my God. Probably at some point, some people we went to high school with will hear this.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Most of them know how I feel about him anyway.
Ooh. I don't want to talk shit. I'm trying to do shadow work with that stuff, my man.
I mean, talking shit can be a form of shadow work. It's a cathartic true. Release. And I'm also not going to name names because kings don't go to war with peasants over words. Ooh. So, you know what? If you did me wrong in high school, that's fine. I'm going to leave it there. But you're also not going to receive anything from me in the future, unless words are hard sometimes. Unless some form of reparations have been made. Could be in the form of an apology. That's fine. 9 times out of 10, I don't give a damn anymore. That was high school. I'm not going to talk to most of those people for the rest of my life anyway.
Yeah. We both had... totally separate from who we went to high school with and those relationships. Wayne and I both, not just in high school, but after high school, experienced challenges, darknesses that are, well, unfortunately, some of them increasingly more common, but certainly at the time I felt very on the outside because of the mental illness I was dealing with, suicidality, physical illness mixed in there, etc. And even I mean, certainly there were many points in high school, Wayne, where I wasn't a great friend to you.
And I was definitely the same way. Like, that kind of brings to mind something that I was talking to my grandfather about. When you're a teenager, you think you know everything. And in a lot of ways, you do know everything. But in a lot of ways, you don't know shit. Because I didn't know shit. Look, I'm almost 30 years old. I turned 30.
So soon.
I turned 30 this month. January 2025, just to date the episode. And looking back on my high school days, there were a lot of ways I was a great dude. There were also a lot of ways I was an ass. And I definitely own that because in a lot of ways I didn't know better. That's no excuse for being an ass, but it is a reason. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah, I feel... I feel like a difference that I see in our stories compared to maybe an average high schooler is that neither of us did a great job of organically fitting in. And neither of us tried that hard to fit in, especially past a certain point.
Yeah, like freshman year, I know that I tried a little harder to fit in, like for the first few months until people pissed me off, and I was like, "Fuck that! No, fuck you."
And where do all of the misfits go? The theater.
Yeah, yeah. We wound up in the theater. Here's the thing, though. Like my freshman year, the theater was where I was trying to fit in, and then that didn't work. So then I tried to fit in with the other crowd, like, you know, the more popular people. That really didn't work. So then, you know, fucking, I want to give a shout out to my man Sam Huber. Like that, he and I are still friends. He and I were definitely part of the quote unquote outcast social group in our high school. We were the ones who were fucking drinking. We were we were doing some wild ass shit after school and at nighttime that the statute of limitations has expired here recently. So we were me and my group of friends, especially freshman year, we were getting into some wild shit. Oh my god. But, you know, it was just organic. It was just organic. We formed a connection. A lot of it was trauma bonding. And
I love that you know what trauma bonding is.
Yeah. That's most of my romantic relationships over the last 10 years, so that's why I've stayed single for a while.
Yes, isn't that the truth for so many of us?
And we wonder why toxic relationships don't work. The sex isn't everything. Toxic relationships, the sex is great. I love it. That's what makes it so hard to let go. Oh, I want that toxic relationship sex with, you know, a healthy relationship. Like, where can I find that? Ladies, hit me up. I'll hold auditions. No, but in all seriousness, like, we were definitely theater kids in high school. We definitely grew in that mentality. We were also the weird kids. Theater kids are weird. I'm still weird. That's fine.
Still weird.
Everybody's weird. Hold on. Let me roll that back a little bit. Everybody's weird. Everybody's a nerd when it comes to something. I'm a nerd in a lot of ways. But the theater kids in high school are the only ones who don't give a damn about what everyone else thinks about them being weird.
I want to throw out to the band geeks. Y'all also have some.
I just lump them all in the same group because there's a lot of interplay between the two groups.
That's true.
So I mean, you know, theater kids. I'm a theater kid for life. It's fine. I don't care what anyone thinks about it. Fuck you if you don't like it.
Yeah, that was the only place that the theater was the only place that I wanted to go, could go in a sense, felt safe to go, like during those really the really hard, really dark periods of high school. I remember junior year after I tried to kill myself the first time.
I feel bad for laughing at that, but it's
Please
not funny.
Please laugh. Oh my gosh.
It's,
you know how many times I tell people like that I've tried to kill myself, and it's less so now, but the puppy dog eyes just used to annoy the fuck out of me.
Yeah,
like
no, same here.
Past the point where I'm over it, right? Like I've grown from it. I can laugh about it. I don't need your like.
Right. Well, I mean, because I went through something similar where I tried to kill myself, and it's kind of the type thing where it's like, no. Why do you feel bad? I'm the one that tried to kill myself. Like, it's cool. Like, we've moved. We're obviously I fucked it up because I'm still here. So I mean, let's move past it. Let's crack jokes. Let's have fun. Come on now. That's why I laugh, because you cracked a joke about it. It's the delivery.
Yeah.
The subject, the subject matter of suicide. That's horrible. Like, please, if you're feeling suicidal, seek help. But have good friends that will crack jokes to make you laugh, even about that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I totally derailed your thought
No,
process
you're good. You're good. Yeah, I like took off the rest of that semester.
I remember that.
Yeah, I wasn't. I was in theory working on schoolwork from home, but in actuality, I was. I don't really remember it. It's a lot of fog.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of doctor's appointments and sitting around doing nothing.
I remember you were in the hospital for a long time too.
That time, yeah. Yeah, gosh, that was almost like 2 weeks. I think that was one of the longer stints. But Mr. Buckite said it was okay if I came into the theater after, during rehearsals, during tech, for the shows if I wanted to. And just feeling like just having that little bit of a connection, which was really all I could handle at the time.
Right.
Actually going to school was much more overwhelming than my nervous system could handle.
Right.
And having that just little bit of connection, and especially hearing from someone, one of our teachers who I admired so much, who I felt so cared for by, that I was still welcome in the space, meant everything to me.
Right.
And I still get choked up thinking about, the end of senior year when we were getting our senior awards at the Boss Awards, and he referenced that when he in his speech before he gave me the director's award, that that even when I wasn't in school, that I still came in to help, right? And that, theater has been, still is. I just auditioned for a show last week, didn't get cast, and the audition is therapeutic.
Yeah, because there's something about doing the theater. Something that Mr. Buckite, our old high school director, would always say. It's called a play for a reason. If you're not having fun, if you're not playing and like exploring your creativity, coming up with ideas, letting the shit fly out of your mouth, and like, if you're not playing, you're not doing it right. And if you're not having fun, then why are you doing it? Don't force yourself to do it. Yeah. That definitely has helped mold my creativity over the years.
I've always associated you with music. Always. Comedy too,
really?
For sure. Yeah.
Huh.
And a lot of that at first was you and your mom.
Yeah.
Because, y'all introduced me to so much music that I had never heard, that I liked. Not all of it at first, but over the years, right?
Especially freshman year.
The 30-minute drive to school and the 30-minute drive from school. and Wayne and I were 2 of 3 high schoolers, 2 of 3 teenagers. No, 4. Well, there were more.
There were more, but we were the only 3 that came from the same grade school area. Yeah. So naturally, freshman year, we all just kind of went, hey, let's all ride together because we're going to a new space and I don't know that many people.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that reminds me of
I was just thinking about the other...
the bus.
I was... The other girl that would ride with us freshman year. I was just thinking about her the other day.
Oh,
remembering those rides to school.
Yeah. I'm remembering y'all's 8th grade year that my mom got me on the bus for one of y'all's field trips. I went on a field trip with y'all somewhere.
I don't remember that.
It's real foggy. I do remember the outfit I wore, and I remember, like, I'm gonna go to school with these people next year. Was it
to the zoo or something?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Because I know you didn't come with us to Chicago.
No.
Because that
No.
was our 8th grade trip, which, by the way, whose ever idea it was to send a bunch of 14-year-olds to Chicago from St. Louis with only like 4 parents to watch them, that's a horrible choice. Let's talk about that a little bit. What the fuck were you thinking? I don't know if they're still doing that, but what the fuck? That's a horrible choice, man.
Yeah, it wasn't that trip.
What? Right, I know you weren't on that trip. It must have been to some like the zoo or the science center or something.
Yeah, something like that, something local.
And we had
just moved from Texas, like
I do remember
a few months before that.
Okay.
So y'all were the first like peers, the first people my age that I interacted with in Missouri.
I'm so sorry about that. We didn't set the best example. I remember when you first moved up to Missouri from Texas, you had the thickest Texas accent, and I thought that shit was adorable back then. I was like,
you know, okay, like just over the past like 2-3 years, I started remembering how much of my Texas accent I purposely got rid of, like especially freshman year, because people would make fun of it.
Yeah,
right?
they did.
And I didn't know, well, one, I didn't know how to take a joke. I also didn't have a strong enough sense of self to be like, fuck you. Like, you know,
right.
I'm going to talk how I talk. So I purposely like stopped using the word y'all, and tried to talk without the accent. And that pattern maintained for over a decade until I, a few years ago, was like, I did do that, didn't I? And I was like, fuck that! And I started saying y'all again.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember, like, freshman year, even Mr. Buckeye called you Texas.
Yeah.
Everyone called you Texas.
I loved that.
And I remember there a lot of times people would, in class, try to goad you into saying y'all, like, hey, Rose, say y'all, just one time for the one time. Just say y'all. Just say it. No, it's fine. We're not going to laugh at you. And as soon as she did it, we were all like, fuck, she said y'all! Oh, she said it with a weird accent! That was funny as fuck! Because, you know, high school kids are fucking horrible.
Yeah. I mean, high school kids are high school kids, right? Like, we're all just trying to figure out what the fuck is going on.
Right.
It's kind of that first phase where you realize, oh... Well, I don't know. For me, it was the first phase where I was like, oh, maybe my parents didn't totally know everything and didn't totally, you know, prepare me for what's out there. And there's actually a lot more out there, right?
Right.
Than I was exposed to.
There, most definitely. Like, so to kind of give a little context, we went to a private Catholic school, and it was probably about my sophomore year when I realized that, hey, most everyone around us comes from money. A lot of money. I don't come from money. Rose doesn't really come from money. Like, you know, I grew up with a single mother who... we had to live with my grandparents when I was a kid, and she put me through Catholic school for all 12 grades on essentially a cashier's wage. I don't know how the fuck she did that, but I also know and I kind of started figuring out sophomore year that my mom didn't know what the fuck she was doing most of the time. She was just like, this is what we got to get done. I'm going to figure out how to do it. So I'm going to try to not do that because I know the boom will come over the mic. So it kind of really started dawning on me then. Most parents and most adults don't know what they're doing. They're figuring it out as they go, and they're dragging the kids along with them and trying to teach them how to not go through the same things they went through.
Yeah, adults are big kids.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, and ideally, in my mind, going back to Mr. Buckite and playing, adults are big kids who know how to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, I think, one of the most crippling things as an adult is to shut out that inner child, to make playing wrong, and the host of things that can be associated with immaturity. Laughing, joking, being silly, spontaneous, moving around a lot, right?
Yeah, she's got me in a swivel chair right now, and this whole time I've just been going back and forth like a little kid going, yay. Ow. But then the age comes in and I just pop my knee. Holy shit.
And then that, like, maybe most unfortunately will often get projected onto the child. This was definitely my experience. And one of the reasons that I loved and love theater so much is that my parents, for all their, like, wonderful assets, I had a really cool conversation with my dad about this, or just a couple of lines of dialogue a few years ago. They didn't do a great job at teaching me how to play, like how to have fun, how to be silly. In my household growing up, playing was reading. Playing was reading. There was time for TV. That was a kind of play. And then, like, playing outside.
Right.
But there wasn't a lot of play that incorporated, like, silliness, movement being embodied, or that, well, other than board games, that, like, was engaging with another person.
Okay.
Yeah. So, like, theater, right, is very physical, very engaging with another person. For me, it totally played on, having read so much and being able to bring a story to life in my head, right? And then I was like, oh my gosh, I can do this on a stage. I can do this in real life.
So, are we kind of going to, like, what inspired us to do theater and, like, be...
Whatever we want.
So...
The reason I bring the guests that I do onto this podcast is because y'all are inspiring. Because y'all are willing to do what you want. Y'all are willing to go against the grain. Y'all have been through shit, right?
Right.
Either before that decision or as you've made that decision, or both. And have come out shinier for it, right? Like, and that brightness, that shininess is attractive to other people,
right.
And can often seem really foreign to other people until they start learning how to internalize that and recognize that, hey, I also have this shininess inside me.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't word it quite that way, but the way I would word it literally means the exact same thing, so I'm not even going to go into that. You talking about, like, how your parents didn't teach you play is strange to me, just because my mom made it a point to teach me how to not give a shit and to be creative. Like, there's a man that I call my brother. His name is Flint, and you may have heard him on one of my songs, Reverend Flint. He and I are not related by blood in any way whatsoever. But how we came to be as close as we are is when I was 5 years old, my mother put me in martial arts, Taekwondo and then Hapkido. And my very first day, this is how I met the man who I was best man at his wedding, and his kids call me uncle. I'm 5 years old. I'm it's the end of class, and there's a punching bag in the corner, directly caddy corner in the studio from the door. So I'm at this punching bag. I'm smacking the hell out of it. I think I'm doing a lot. I probably wasn't doing anything at all, but I was just flailing at this thing, having a great time. And this kid who is 4 or 5 years older than me comes up behind me and just like grabs me by my shoulders and shakes the shit out of me, scares the fuck out of me. That was how me and my best friend met. And his mother and my mother, over the years, became very close friends, and they embodied the idea of, I'm going to be myself in front of everybody, and I don't give a damn what they think about it. So that translated to me like very easily from living like this and doing things like this with these people into a creative platform, whether that be music, whether that be theater, whether that be comedy, which is still an avenue I'd like to pursue a little bit just one time, because everyone says I need to do stand-up. But so it came easy to me to just be myself. But also on a theatrical stage, you're embodying another character. So how can I best use myself to portray this person's desires, past, present, and future? You know what I mean? So it's just the idea of playing. Have fun with it. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Go back to the drawing board, try again. You learn more from your failures than you do your successes anyway.
That is true. That is true. I just posted a thing on my Facebook, something like, do you want to know the difference between a master and a beginner? Mm-hmm. The master has failed more times than the beginner has even tried. Yeah,
I saw something similar to that. It was like, your first book is gonna suck.
We posted the same. Mm-hmm. Sorry, go.
So it goes something along the lines of, your first attempt to do this activity, whether it be music, writing, building something, fucking running, if you want to train to be a runner, your first time playing football, your first time doing anything, you're gonna suck at it. Mm-hmm. But it's the last time you do something that means everything. Mm-hmm. So if you keep going, you keep trying, you keep learning, you keep improving, you can become great at what you do. But a lot of people get discouraged at the first time they try something, and they're not that great at it. Or it's not, it doesn't come as easily to them as they thought it might. Mm-hmm. So they give up. Mm-hmm. And that's the saddest part, is giving up. Like, you only fail when you give up. Mm-hmm. So, it's literally your choice. Failure and success is literally your choice to make.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Where do we want to go?
To the local bar to pick up hot single ladies that are near you, like that one website tells me. There's a hot single lady a mile away from you, and she wants to meet you. You lied to me! My head's a weird place to live. I don't know why I went straight there.
Do you want to talk about your relationship history? Or do you want to save that for the second spicier half? Or not talk about it?
I mean, I can talk about it. I don't give a damn. I don't know. Where do you think we ought to go?
Let's connect. Let's bridge that gap a little.
Okay.
From high school to kind of the beginning of our self-awareness.
Okay.
Giving a fuck, right? Because we both had quite a few years of not giving any fucks.
Yeah. And not in the good way either.
No.
Not in the good way.
No. Yeah. No, I mean, I was giving some kinds of fucks during that time, for sure.
Hey.
I went down to New Orleans for school. I thought that changing my location would solve all of my problems. I had pinned Missouri as the problem at that point in my mind, so I decided I would leave and be happy again.
Makes sense. Missouri sucks.
After about a year and a half down there, things were just as bad. I was down in a psych hospital down there again. Moved back to Missouri. That continued for a few years. Went to rehab a couple times, and for me, a big turnaround was, well, twofold. When I started going to dialectic behavioral therapy, and they started teaching me what mindfulness was. And when I started and at the same time, around the same time, starting to go to Narcotics Anonymous meetings. And, the first thing, mindfulness, helped me get more in touch with my insides. And the second thing, 12-step meetings helped me learn how to relate to other people more honestly. A wonderful gift that your mom and Flint's mom demonstrated to you as a child. I did not get so much. My parents are more we don't want to confront things that are uncomfortable type.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love them, and that is, they've said so much to me in their own words.
True love is accepting and loving somebody, not in spite of their flaws, but including their flaws with them. Because everyone's got them.
Yeah. And the same goes for self-love, right?
True. I do that every night on my iPhone. If you know what I mean. Sorry.
It's okay. Totally good. Keep it coming.
No. I do.
Yeah.
Sorry, off the rails.
to ground that point before we totally derail. Self-love isn't just about loving the parts of yourself that are easy to love. On the contrary, you won't make much progress that way on your journey of self-realization. Actually, where most of the juiciness, the meat, the real growth comes from is learning to love the parts of yourself that are hard to love. Yes, Wayne, you have a comment about juice and meat.
I wasn't saying anything. Class? I was just smiling. I thought of a joke. It was a funny joke. Can a man smile in peace? Come on now. I'm just gonna go ahead and put my face in my hood real quick. All right. Now I can smile in peace. No, but you are making a very valid point. You to kind of add on to that point, you cannot truly love others until you truly love yourself. And to learn how to truly love yourself, you have to love the balance that exists within you as a human being. Because everything can be broken down into balance, positive and negative. And you can't just love one side, because without the other side, without the negative, the positive cannot exist. So you have to learn to love both the positive and the negative, as well as the potential within each other to become the opposite.
Yes.
Marinate on that for a second. Just drop some shit.
What did you do after high school?
So, right after high school, to kind of keep the same time frame that we're going on here, I took a year off, and I worked at Six Flags for their summer season. I was doing their shows because theater nerd, and I was singing and dancing in a country show, and that's kind of where
I saw that country show once.
I remember. I remember you there. You were with Natalie Baker, I believe.
That sounds right. Oh, we're dropping names now.
Well, yeah, because Natalie, I got no beef with her. Like, I hope you're doing well. Shit.
I just thought we weren't dropping any names.
I mean, we weren't, and then I forgot.
Natalie hears this. I miss her.
We weren't going to drop names, and then I forgot. You ever forget? Happened to me.
I remember, and there were two other people we went to high school with in that same show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there were, and I hope they're doing well. And I'm going to remember to not name names, but I'm still in contact with one of them occasionally, out in LA, doing your motherfucking thing. I see you. So anyway, I'm at Six Flags, and that was kind of the beginning of what I like to refer to as my downfall, because No, and I'm being serious. Like the beginning of my spiral mentally, really. Because I felt like I was like spinning my wheels. I wasn't getting any traction. I had this dream of being an actor, and I wasn't gonna make it as an actor working at fucking Six Flags St. Louis. Like there wasn't a lot of talent scouts coming to the shows in Eureka, Missouri. You know, looking at these fucking people dressed up as Looney Tunes characters and then fucking putting on like, you know, this country ass fucking outfit. And there's one Irish guy in the country show, which was me, because that, you know, Mr. Buckeye, I love you, but just because I can do an Irish accent doesn't mean I have to do it for every fucking show. But anyway, let's move past that. And so like that's where my, probably right around senior year of high school was where I really started to dabble in substances. Initially it was drinking.
Other than alcohol.
Well, no, I mean I'm including alcohol in that because alcohol has played a large part in everything that happened negatively to me, which a lot of it was of my own making. But anyway, you know, so senior year was where I really started drinking fairly heavily. Which, not good. It's not a good idea. Please do not do that. And you will thank yourself later. But Six Flags was where I started dabbling into other substances, like tried weed, realized that weed and I didn't get along back then, and so I put weed away. But hey, what is this? Cocaine? Well, I'm feeling a little tired. Let's get a little pick me up. Woo. But yeah, I started dabbling. I didn't start like sniffing every day, but drinking every day, that's another story. You know, that was where I started really putting away a lot of alcohol, which isn't healthy. And so after that last year at Six Flags, I did what my mother wanted me to do, which was I went to the community college, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. It wasn't theater. I wasn't going to be an actor, getting a degree from community college, but that dream seemed to be slipping away from me. So I was kind of dealing with that existential dread, as well as, oh my God, my life is going to be one of mediocrity. I'm at a community college studying to be a fucking Spanish teacher. What the fuck is wrong with me? And
Wayne actually, maybe not so much now, but used to be very good at Spanish.
Yeah, like when I tell people I used to be fluent, especially if I tell a native Spanish speaker, they look at me and go, yeah, right. And I'm like, hold on, you know, it's a type thing where I don't speak it well anymore, but I can understand it fairly well. So whenever people at my job cuss me out in Spanish, motherfucker, I know what you said to me. And I'm laughing my ass off because y'all are funny as fuck. So, where was I? Community college, studying to be a Spanish teacher. Existential crisis, existential dread, a lot of depression, a lot of drinking. I started smoking cigarettes because in my mind, I was trying to use that as an alternative to drinking. But I also couldn't deal with just living in my sober, clean, like, head. You know, outside of my home, my life was going to shit. Inside of my home was fucked up because there was not the element of my mother, but my grandmother was fairly abusive to me growing up. Not physically, but mentally, she put me through the fucking ringer. I'm not going to get too deep into that because this is supposed to be a good time. So I did that, decided, you know what, fuck school. I can't do this because every day driving home from school, I have to fight the urge to jerk my wheel to the right, crossing the bridge. And so, you know, I'm like, you know, it's getting a little harder to fight that every day. Let me just go ahead and do something different. So I couple things happened like right around the same time. I don't quite remember how it happened chronologically, but because you know drugs are bad. But I moved in with my best friend, you know, my brother, and his mom, and his wife, and his kids all in one house, which was pretty cramped, but it was probably some of the best times of that time period. I got a job, and I decided I was going to move to Chicago because I still had this dream of being an actor. And so I was 19 to 20 at that time. And so I'm working at this glass factory, making windows, sweating my ass off, like busting my ass so I could save up enough money to transfer through that company to Chicago. And I finally did it in 2016. First thing, moving to Chicago on February 1st is not the best idea. And let me tell you why. Because Chicago is fucking cold. It is so goddamn cold. And I didn't have gloves. And I was missing a lot of shit. I just wanted to get the fuck out of Missouri. So I went to Chicago. I just turned 21. Another piece of advice. When you just turn 21, don't move to a brand new city by your fucking self where you know nobody. Because what happened to me, I'm not going to say it's going to happen to you, but learn from my mistakes. Most of my money went to the bar. I pretty much got kicked out of my apartment. But I also, the theater thing didn't work out. I became very disillusioned with breaking into entertainment, specifically the theater. And so my depression and everything mentally came to a head one night.
Will you go into that more? What do you mean by you became very disillusioned about thinking?
It seemed like no matter how hard I tried to nail auditions, to get cast in things, nothing was working. Nothing was working. And the straw that kind of broke the camel's back was when a casting director looked at me and said, "I don't even know why you bothered showing up." And I was like, okay. Okay, fuck you. But okay. I went to my apartment. Well, no, I didn't go to my apartment. I went to the bar near my apartment. And I drank my sorrows away. And one night it kind of came to a head where my depression had gotten to the point to where I just did not want to live anymore. So, I definitely attempted to end myself that night. I was unsuccessful. And I called my mom the next day and I said, I didn't tell her I tried, but I told her I was seriously thinking about it. And God bless my mother. She said, okay, first thing you're going to do is you're going to call the suicide hotline. As soon as we get off the phone, I said, okay. She said, now what you're going to do after that, as soon as you get off the phone with them, is you're going to call me. I said, okay. So I call them, and, if there is no shame in calling the suicide hotline, they are very good at what they do. They will guide you to seek help. And they will assess you to see if you need, like, professional help right away. They'll see if you need, like, an ambulance and police officers sent your way to, save your fucking life. But if that's not really necessary, like, at the point that I called them, it really wasn't, because I'd already tried and failed, and I didn't really feel like trying again 2 days in a row. But
I'm not getting paid for this.
Right, I get paid by the hour. Come on now. But no, they helped talk me through it. They helped talk me through a couple of things to keep myself safe until I could make the choices that I needed to make, which came right after that phone call. I put away all my knives. I put away any medicine that was in my house. I like knives. I've got a lot of knives. I put all of them away and locked them the fuck up and threw away the key. We wound up having to break that lock later, but that's another story.
You can always break the lock later if you're still around. Pretty
much. So, as soon as I got off the phone with Suicide Hotline, I called my mother, and she said, "What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Because obviously, you're not doing well right now. So what are you going to do different?" You can stay in Chicago and do something different. I'm not pushing you to move back home. But what are you going to do differently? I said, you know what? I want to come home. So my mother made that drive from St. Louis to Chicago in like record fucking time. And, the phone call ended at like 2:00 in the morning. She was there by like 6 with breakfast. I was like, okay, cool. Thanks for breakfast, Mom. I hadn't eaten in like 3 days. So that was the best goddamn sausage biscuit I've ever fucking had. So we packed all my shit up, just fucking left. Because I didn't sign a lease at that point. I was renting a room and it was on a handshake basis. So I just fucking left, and I left a little money in the room for the old woman who was giving me the rent, or giving me the room. Which, God bless that sweet old lady. So yeah, I came back home, and the story continues from there after this brief interlude of shenanigans.
I just want to say, like, God bless Terry and her direct, logical...
Oh, I thought we weren't name dropping.
Oh, oops.
You ever forget? It happened to us. Terry's my mom, by the way.
Yeah.
God bless Terry. That's...
I think there's I think there's an inclination often when people are struggling with emotional turmoil to... I think this is becoming increasingly common, although maybe we're finding some limits of it now because we're seeing that it doesn't always work. But there's often this inclination to overly coddle their emotions, right? No, you're looking at...
I'm just... No, I was going to ask you to explain that if you hadn't, already started.
I mean, what I hear that your mom said to you was, she made it clear,
Okay, I see where you're going.
It was from a loving place, and she cared about you, right? And she was like, I mean, the hard truth of anyone who's struggling with depression, anxiety, suicidality, PTSD, etc., abuse, right? Addiction, is that what you're doing isn't working.
Right.
What are you going to do different?
Yeah.
Right? Like that is the direct logic that it comes down to. There can be a lot of compassion, softer, loving support around and on top of that. And at the end of the day, if that component isn't addressed, then nothing's going to change.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and I see what you mean by, like, people over coddle their emotions. Like, a lot of people who...
Well,
people over coddle other people's emotions. That's
right.
that, and I know that's what you meant. That's what I meant. But let's get clarification. Never hurt anybody. And I'm guilty of it. Rose is guilty of it.
Yeah.
To an extent. Like everybody's guilty of it in one way or another. Where we know someone's going through it mentally, whether it be anxiety, whether it be depression, whether it be BPD, whether it be bipolar, whether it be, fucking name a mental illness. And a lot of our first reaction is to say, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. No, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. It's okay. Let me wrap you up and hug you and everything will go away. It doesn't work like that. While that comfort is nice whenever you are in a crisis, it's not how you are able to resolve it or learn to live with it. You need hard truths, not necessarily given to you cold, but you need hard truths.
Right. Well, and I know for me, after so many years of not getting the hard... I mean... Doctors would tell me things like, this is probably how it's going to be forever, right? And there was part of me that just wasn't willing to accept that as true. So, hard truth in a sense, but also I had enough awareness, especially over time, that, hey, other people walk themselves out of the pits of depression, right? Like, why can't I? After so many years of having, the coddling in whatever form it came, I was hungry for some direct truth. I was hungry for someone to be like, yeah, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Right? And what are you willing to give up so
Right.
that you can change how things are? For someone to call me, I was hungry for someone to call me out on how I was victimizing myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And admittedly, lots of people aren't in a place where they can hear that feedback. It doesn't necessarily make sense to give those people that feedback.
see, this is where I disagree with you.
No, okay. Yeah.
People saying that I'm not in a place to hear that, you're not in a place to accept that. But that doesn't but accepting it is your choice. And to kind of go back to another point where you said other people walk themselves out of the pit of depression.
Well, not walk themselves, but have walked. Right? It's been done.
Yeah, but here's my point. No, it hasn't. Because you cannot do it yourself. You have to have a support system.
No, yeah, and I didn't mean that
Well,
other people have done it by themselves.
Yeah,
I mean
but
that
like
other people have moved from point A where they were in this dark pit to
Yeah.
point B where they're not. Not by themselves, right? But with help.
Right. Whether it be medical help, if that's the route you choose to go, or, whether through holistic help, which is another equally valid route. It's all, there is no one answer for everything. Everybody's unique. But I can guarantee you one thing that everybody needs is the right people around you to lift you up. Not coddle you, but lift you up. Sometimes that does come in the form of, hey, it's going to be okay. Keep your head up. Sometimes it comes into a smack upside the head saying, motherfucker, what are you doing? Quit feeling sorry for yourself. What are you going to do different? So, I mean, if you cannot accept the other, that's fine. But at some point you're going to need to, otherwise you are never going to get out of that place. Or at least learn to live within it.
Yes.
Because it's not really something that I feel like needs to be escaped. It is something that needs to be learned how to live within. How to function.
Yes.
And it's kind of like,
yeah, we're not neither of us, if I'm hearing you correctly, are trying to insinuate that depression is bad.
No.
Or is something to escape from. That is the a negative that in the way Wayne was talking about earlier. That's a negative that has its equal opposite, and there is light, there is positivity inside the negativity if we can open our mind to that and make room for it.
Like 100%. And there's a valid argument of saying mental illness is an illness because your brain is an organ, it can get sick, right? And I fully agree with that. And sometimes that can be healed medicinally. Sometimes that can be healed with, holistic measures. But the one thing that heals everything is time. Time, because your body is going to heal itself.
Time and change.
And time and healthier habits.
Yes.
Time and healthier habits. And, if you're not taking care of yourself physically, you're not taking care of yourself mentally. So, I mean... the more healthy choices you make in life, the better off you're going to be to maybe one day be not as depressed as you were 6 months ago. You're still going to deal with it. I still deal with it. I know Rose still deals with it. Everybody who has dealt with it will still deal with it. And if you haven't dealt with it yet, you're probably going to at some point. It's just a way of life. It's not a good or a bad thing. It just is. It has its own balance.
Yeah. Well, and so the phase that I'm in now, okay, here's some context for the phase that I'm in now.
We love context.
Because I spent so many years in such debilitating chronic swings between deep depression and very panicky not in control of myself on either end, anxiety. The phase that I'm in now is I'm learning to find more nuance and more presence when I experience both of those states. And so, for example, there will be times, especially at certain points in my menstrual cycle, where I will feel the looming kind of shadow of depression start to come up. And when and there's a reaction to that, often because of my past, that starts to panic, right? And my mind will sometimes want to go on these roller coasters of, oh no, I can't feel this, because what if I feel this and it becomes what it was again? Which is very far from my reality for the past, for some years. And that association between depression and, life being not worth living, and even just like sadness, like feeling sadness, feeling grief, feeling anger, and life not being worth living, was so impressed that now what I'm finding I'm called to is, in those moments of starting to feel depressed or sad or grieving or angry, what I'm called to is to slow down enough to be present with those emotions as they come up, instead of projecting onto them the stories from the last revolution, right? Like, and to remember, oh, I'm moving upwards. I'm on an upward cycle. Yes, I still experience the whole range of human emotions, and frankly, I would guess that my lack of ability or lack of awareness of those less comfortable human emotions as a child contributed to them surging up so strongly in adolescence, because I didn't know how to deal with them. I didn't know how to be present with them. It was very easy to make them wrong, per se. And the beautiful thing is that as I have learned to increasingly, for, over the past 10 years, to be more and more present with those emotions, they move. They change. They release. Emotion is energy in motion, as they say. And emotions are one of the most valuable sets of messengers from our body that tell us things about ourselves, about our relation to the environment, etc. And they will gradually pass as we learn from them, as we learn to incorporate whatever messages they're telling us. And what we resist persists. So for as much energy as I put into, I'm not going to feel these feelings because I have a story in my head that if I feel these feelings, I'm going to spiral down. That, in effect, these days, keeps me from actually feeling and then releasing and being relieved, per se, of those uncomfortable emotions.
So, first thing, one, that was a hell of a callback, like talking about the cycle. The cycle. So, one might even say this was a full circle situation. But secondly, no, you're 100% right. And that was a very well thought out, very intricate explanation of how you can healthily evolve in dealing with whatever mental illness you're dealing with. And I'm doing a lot of the same thing. I just am not nearly as eloquent as Rose is in terms of this. I just look at it as, you know what, I gotta let myself feel what I'm feeling, because if I repress it, if I numb myself either externally or internally, I'm gonna have to feel it no matter what. And the more you numb it, when you finally end up having to pay the piper, what you had to feel compounds upon itself and becomes 10 times more difficult to deal with. So I'm at the point now where if I feel like seasonal depression coming on, if I'm feeling a lack of creativity, or if I'm feeling like, anything like that, I'm interpreting that as my body telling me, hey, you need to sit the fuck down for a second. You got some shit to work out. Let's let ourselves feel this, and then we can talk about it in a song.
Yes.
And, people will either relate to it, or females will be coming up to you going, baby, who hurt you? And, either way, I love it. You know what I'm saying?
How much, are you good for like 3 hours of recording?
Yeah, I'm good. Cool. I might need to take a cigarette break in between.
Totally. Okay, so let's keep going on this first episode for 15 to 20 more minutes.
I mean, this is, you're driving. I'm along for the ride. I'm the guy who's like, I'm in the passenger seat making the drive a little more entertaining.
Well, and I want you to have some context.
We love context.
For what we're doing, because this episode will go out and be available to the public.
Okay.
So if there's anything that you're like, this is part of my message that I want anyone and everyone to hear.
Okay.
The time is in the next 15-20 minutes.
Okay.
And then the second half of our session will go out as a second episode, and I think I'm pretty sure it's 16 and 17.
I was going to crack a joke, but I decided against it.
Are you not keeping up? Are you not tracking this anymore?
No, I am. Okay. I am. I was going to make a 16 and 17 joke. That was not in my best interest.
Oh, but Sound of Music. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Sound of Music. That's where I was going. We're gonna go with that. Okay, I'm gonna crack the joke anyway.
Do it.
16 and 17, that's almost legal. Again, my head is a weird place to live. No, I do not do that. Let me put that out there right now. I prefer women my age and older.
Or older. Yeah.
Or older.
Yeah.
Just because, even if, ADD is a beautiful thing. My brain is going, just come along for the ride for a second. Side street. I was presented with the opportunity, let's say, to have relations and to be in become more intimately involved with a young lady in her 21s. And I've finally hit that age where I sat back and I went, you know what? No. For the simple fact that I remember being 21 and what I wanted to do was go out all the time and go to the bars and go to the clubs and go to the party. And I'm like, you know what? No, I'd rather just take an evening at home with some Netflix and candles and, microwave Hot Pockets or something. I don't know. Like, I like keeping it low key now because I've done a lot of partying in my day, man. Oh, I've got stories. Some of which the statute of limitations is not up on yet.
At least one of us is respecting our statute of limitations. Yeah.
So I'm so sorry. Side trip done. This is going out as 16 and 17
yes.
on the podcast.
Yes. Is that 12? Yes. Okay. So, I want to check this. No, it's 4. Yeah. I'll trust myself.
Fuck it. Go with it.
We're pretty sure that this first half is episode 16 of the Naturally Rosy podcast, and then the second half of me and Wayne's conversation here will go out as episode 17. And that episode will only be available to paid subscribers of the Naturally Rosy Substack.
So if you want to hear more of this, you better come about that money.
Yeah. You can also, if you're like, I'm not really sure if I want to give you money, like, who the fuck are you? You can do a a free trial, a free 7-day trial that will allow you to access the episode 17 here, as well as all of the other second halves of my interviews and all of the other paid subscriber content. So my whole archive back for the past 2 years, and some periodically I'll send out articles that are only available for paid subscribers. The cost for a paid subscription is $5.55 a month, or $55.55 a year. It's cliche, and to put that in context, it's like 1 Starbucks coffee a month, So
yeah, you basic white bitch, fucking give up some money. Give up 1 Starbucks drink.
Or 1 pack of cigarettes a month.
No, cigarettes cost way more than $5 now.
Okay.
and my nicotine addiction has kept me out of jail, because there have been times where I've decided, am I going to punch this dude or am I going to go have a smoke? And I chose to go have a smoke. So there are plenty of people in the St. Louis area who should be thanking me every time I light up a cigarette because they didn't get punched.
Yes.
Work a little overtime. Come up with $5.55 a month.
Do it.
And come up out that money.
Or don't. Really, to me, it's such a small amount that I'm like, you do it because you appreciate what I'm doing in the world. It is literally that small of an amount. Like, you either are like, she's cool, like, I want to support her and what she's doing. Maybe you don't know enough about me to really, like, be able to make that judgment call yet. That's cool. Or you're like, I'd rather support other people and other things. And that's also totally cool. I guess the point being that it's not a lot of money.
Come about that money. But can I actually say, like, having been a producer for this podcast before, while I may not be as up on the most recent episodes as I should be, just because, life is lifing, from what I do know, which is quite a lot, it's worth it. Like, Rose here does good work. Very good work.
Thanks, Wayne.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you mind sharing a little more, like, about what you see that I offer? As someone who's known me, for
you offer
16 years now.
Jesus.
17 years.
Jesus. Yeah, it has been that long.
Yeah.
But what Rose offers is a very unapologetic and unique perspective on life that, whether you agree or disagree with her opinions or what she has to say, it makes you think. And the ability to actually think and be challenged is a sign of growth as a human being and makes you more intelligent yourself. If you subscribe to the Naturally Rosy podcast, you are guaranteed to become smarter in one way or another.
Aw, that's so great.
Dumbasses. No, I'm kidding. Y'all are lovely. I'm looking at you through the microphone right now. I see you pushing up your glasses from the bridge of your nose. No, don't stop now.
So if you do want to become either a free or a paid subscriber, you can go to substack.com and look up Naturally Rosy, the Naturally Rosy Substack. That is where articles and podcasts are published and sent to the inboxes of free and paid subscribers, respectively. Yeah, and Wayne, you mentioned life is lifing.
Life is lifing.
So maybe for the public, let's use these last 10 or so minutes to give them an idea of what is going on in your life now, having come through so much, right? Like, and having like you let that dream of being an actor die.
So I let that dream of being an actor die, and life happened, which we didn't talk about on this episode, but the next episode we might just get into it a little bit. So first off, I feel like it's been the last 10 minutes of this episode for the last 20, but you know, hey, we're just going with it, and I love that. What I'm doing now is I make music. I am a writer, artist, producer, engineer, and all around busy motherfucker. You can catch me at live shows in the St. Louis area. I have opened up for artists such as Chris Calico, formerly of Strange Music, now of Earhouse Music. I have opened up for Mayday and Unconventional Kings. Both are still associated with Strange Music. And I am on all streaming platforms as Wayne B, the letter B as in Bravo, which is what you're going to say when you see me live on stage. I make mostly hip-hop music, but when you listen, you're going to hear hip-hop. You're going to hear me rapping, but it's not in the same lane as a lot of other artists that are doing it nowadays. I try to be as unique as possible. So go ahead and check me out on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, Pandora, wherever you listen to your music. Check me out at Wayne B. And in me and my friend Lil C, we just recently released a collaborative EP called Ilmo. That is capital I, capital L, capital M, capital O. Check it out on all streaming platforms. You're gonna love it. Applause! Thank you. I'm here for the next few hours.
So good.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, we'll get into more in the second half, and like the point being that you fucking did it, right?
Yeah.
Like you did it. Like you went through your hero's journey. You went through the underworld. You came up, and you're like, hey, tribe, I got messages for you.
Is it a hero's journey or a villain's arc? That remains to be seen. It's all in perspective, really. Anyway, can I step out and have a cigarette?
Totally, yeah.
Would you like to step out with me so we can converse and conversate?
I will. I'm gonna wrap this up real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm playing with new taglines to end the episode with. So this is what I have for now.
Do what you do.
Yeah.
There's gonna be some cutting, and I get it.
There's not. We're not cutting anything anymore.
Oh, they're gonna hear a lot of shit. Yeah, that's my friend Wayne. Thanks for tuning in to episode Fingers Crossed 16 of the Naturally Rosy podcast. Until next time, eat good food, enjoy the outdoors, and give yourself a hug from me.